So I just finished an Instagram video about just thoughts about my birthday, and I thought to make a longer version here on YouTube. If you're not familiar with that Instagram page, it's Everything Drew on Instagram. Now, recently it was just my birthday, and I was just documenting some of the thoughts that I had. I think reflection is an important part of life. In the book of Psalms chapter 90 and verse 12, I believe the Bible says, "So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom." I think it's important for us to number our days and really look back on our days and reflect so that we may apply or incline our hearts unto wisdom. I think the person that reflects is able to use these experiences to inform the future, and that's what learning and growth is really about. I actually mentioned in the video this story in the book of Joshua, and I've been meaning to do a video on this for such a long time because when I really meditated upon it, it hit me in a deep way. And in Joshua chapter 4, I'll actually read it. I have it up here. In Joshua chapter 4, verse 4, the Bible says, "So Joshua called together the 12 men he had chosen, one from each of the tribes of Israel, and he told them, 'Hey, go into the middle of the Jordan in front of the ark of the Lord your God. Each of you must pick up one stone and carry it on your shoulder, 12 stones in all, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. We will use these stones to build a memorial. In the future, your children will ask you, what do these stones mean?' Then you could tell them, 'They remind us that the Jordan River stopped flowing when the Ark of the Lord's covenant went across. These stones will stand as a memorial among the people of Israel forever.'" Now, when the children of Israel were just about to enter into the Canaan land represented their land of freedom, right? The Jordan River stood in between them. And God is like, "Hey man, I'm going to split the Jordan River just like I split the Red Sea. But this time, just so that you guys don't forget, I want you to pick up some stones." And really those stones were as a memorial for them to remember all that God had brought them through. And I think that that's key, right? I think that it's important for us to remember all that God has brought us through. And I'm so passionate about this because, God has brought us through so much, but how quick we are to forget. And I really think it's because we don't journal, we don't video journal, we don't testify as much as we should, and really it's a shame. It's a shame because we don't have these stones. We don't have these stones to tell our children, "Hey, this is what God brought us to. These are the Jordan rivers and the wildernesses and the Red Seas that God has brought us through. And this stone, this memory, this blog post, this journal, this video stands as a testament to that." You could check out some of the videos I have on my YouTube channel. When I look back at them, I'm like, oh snap, here I am talking about God giving me, a testimony about money, and I kind of cringe when I watch it now because it's just like, man, why would I even put that out there? But then there's a sense that like, man, I remember how I felt in that moment. I remember that at that moment, God came through for me at that second. And so while I cringe watching that now, it's like, my God is the same. I may be different, my experiences may be different, but the principle still applies. My God that came through for me at that last second is still the same God and wants to come through for me at this last second in my moments today. And so I just think that it's so important, man, that as we get older, hopefully we get wiser, but what's contingent upon us actually getting wiser is to carry these stones, the stones of our experiences, the stones of the experiences of us crossing Jordan rivers and Red Seas and wildernesses, is numbering our days and really meditating and reflecting upon those experiences and those days that we may indeed apply our hearts unto wisdom. Recently was my birthday, as I said, and I was just overwhelmed with love and support, and I'm just like, man, God, I'd be damned if I didn't really give the same love and support to others, if I didn't give the same love and support to others. Like, I really am indebted to other people, to live my life to other people. Like, I have so much, like literally, like, I have access to resources and supports and opportunities and meaningful relationships and people that would go out of their way to help me, and just like so much. Like, I remember going to my bed and thinking, like, God, honestly, if I died today, I could honestly say I've experienced good in life. There's been ups and there's been downs, but like, I went through them and I've come out a better person, and I still have a ways to go, but I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with all that you've given me, and I know that there's more to experience, and I know that there's more to accomplish. But as long as I'm on the journey, like I'm on the journey to accomplish all that I want to accomplish, and that is huge. Yeah, let's say I want to be a doctor. Yeah, I'm not a doctor right now, but I'm on the process. I'm on the journey. I'm in the process. And so it's like whether I'm this thing or not, it's like the journey is as important as the destination. And so therefore it's like, yes, I'm satisfied with where I am, and I don't have any anxiety to rush, you know, and I really am thankful that I have that perspective. Here are a couple of tips. I'm just going to kind of spit some off. I don't have like, oh, these are 5 tips, but just some tips that I can give until I get kind of annoyed at my voice. And so one of my first tips is, man, as you grow older, relationships become more important. I think that it's important for us to understand that in the society that we live in a very hustle-driven culture of, hey, just get it. And sometimes our getting it could be to the detriment of some of our relationships. But here's one thing that I learned from getting older, man. As you get older, your life is going to change in ways where you're going to need to be able to manage stress better. Like, for example, as I get older, my parents get older, and I recognize that no longer, like I can't necessarily rely on my parents for the same things that I could have relied on them for maybe when I was in grade 6 or 7 or 8 or something. Like I'm becoming a man, and these relationships are changing, and I have less of that parental support, however, it's like, now it's like, how can I explain it? Like when you're young, you think about a parental relationship as like, man, your parents are obligated to give you. The older I get, I realize that, like, man, I need to feel obligated to now give back to my parents. My parents need me now. And kind of just growing up, I felt like I didn't ever think of like my parents needing me. I just thought of like, yo, I need my parents, and my parents need to be there for me whenever I can or whenever I need them. You know what I mean? But now it's just like, oh snap, my parents actually need me. And that's a very powerful thing to meditate upon. As they're getting older, it's like, what happens if they get sick? Like am I gonna go through those things by myself? Like it's important for us to really adapt and evolve with these relationships and fill the roles that the times require of us, and really have supporting relationships that enable us to go through the hard times with these relationships. And so what I mean is, let's say one of your parents gets sick or something, God forbid, let's say one of your parents passes away. I mean, as you get older, these things become a reality. Maybe they need to go to a nursing home or something. It's like these things are heavily stressful. And I think the more relationships you have that are meaningful, the better you're able to adapt and take whatever comes your way. And so that's one of the things I learned. Kind of along with this was the idea that people are more important than things, and are more important than jobs. I think it's important for us to really understand that, man, because oftentimes we poo on people while we try to get things, when really it's like, man, people are going to enable you to get those things. And so if you have to sacrifice any, sacrifice the things, because the more people, the more connections, the more meaningful relationships you have, the more you're able to get things. I think it's powerful that the Tower of Babel would have been built if God didn't confuse them with the languages, because there was perfect harmony. But when the languages came and they were confused and they couldn't work together, when they didn't have each other, then they couldn't accomplish that task. And so I think collaboration and understanding how we each can help each other is important. Now, the next tip that I kind of learned was, though you need to see yourself as in a collaborative effort with others, that collective success can be achieved, you also need to understand that you need to tax yourself as the utmost resource. And so as I'm in this kind of a professional academic sort of a sphere, one of my professors said something about like not abusing in class, that is not abusing like these teachers and professors that you want to help you. And it's really key to me, because I realized, like, man, I need to use myself as the only, like, I need to milk myself as a resource. I need to do as much as I can do. I need to be as much as I can be, and then thus bring the best person I can be to these collaborative relationships that I have. So not that I'm just like mooching off other people or something like that. yeah, another thing I learned, man, is that God is more important than everything. You know, a lot of times we sacrifice God, which is crazy, to get things. And I really think it's important for us to realize, man, that like, man, like if God, like if you get things without God, you will not have peace, you know, like you just won't. But if you have God but don't have those things, you'll have lasting peace. And then whatever you have, like, yeah, it really won't even matter, because whether you had it or not, and that's like a Bible verse, you know, whether we have everything or nothing, like we're content because we have God. And really, I think that when you come to that place, it's better than a nirvana. It's better than a, you know, anything that anybody could describe. Like when you have God, you have all you need. Just a couple of last sort of thoughts. Consistency is king. Don't start anything if you can't be consistent. Do not start anything if you cannot be consistent. Do not start anything if you cannot be consistent. Systems are better than goals. If you have a goal, goals are good, but goals should be associated with systems. And so, for example, let's say somebody says, hey, I have a goal of, I'm writing down my goal list, or I have a goal of making $100,000. Don't write that goal without a system. What are going to be the actionable steps, like the most simple steps that you can take to make that? Okay, well, maybe if you work for a company, maybe that goal is, you know, to get $100,000, but the system is, hey, I got to show up to work every single day. Seems obvious, right? When I show up to work, I got to make sure that I'm at work with, you know, the right mindset. I got to make sure that I stay late at work and really go above and beyond. I got to make sure that, just like, you know, you're developing a system, you know, if I want to make YouTube videos, I have a goal to make 5 YouTube videos a week or something like that. It's like, well, what's the system? How are you going to accomplish that? You know, and I really think that systems are more important than mere goals. Hey, I want to drink a liter of water a day. You know, how are you going to do that? Okay, goal. I'm going to put a water bottle by my bed, so the first thing I do when I wake up is drink that water bottle. You know, before I eat, 30 minutes before I eat, I'm not going to allow myself to eat unless I drink a glass of water. Like, these are the systems that could help you reach that larger goal. And then the last thing that I really want to harp on is this idea of not being a slave to desire. I think it's so key for us to understand, man, that pleasure really in the moment is overrated. Like, as long as you can delay gratification, like, this is huge. And this is something that a lot of young people, especially in my culture, don't really understand. You know, like, if you can delay gratification, really you'll experience so much more, like so much more, and you'll achieve so much more, you know, because really what's sometimes best for you right now is not what's best for you in the long run, you know. And I think a lot of times that we trade what we want most for what we want right now. Listen to that again. I think a lot of times we trade what we want most for what we want right now. Yeah, and really that's it. I guess just to give a little small example of that is, I just read this book called Willpower. I'm about to be coming out with I have something cooking up with this, but just kind of a little bit of a leak. There's this example in the book that was backed by psychological research that showed that people often will choose an immediate reward that's a little bit less over a bigger reward that comes maybe a little bit, you know, down the line. And, you know, there's this research that showed that people would choose, let's say, $100 today versus $125 in 2 weeks, you know. And it was crazy because when I was reading that, I'm just like, oh, snap, like, that's interesting. And then it happened to me where somebody sent me some money or something for like a speaking engagement, and they sent it via PayPal. And PayPal asked me, they're like, hey, we can deposit your money today, and you'll get this amount, or we can deposit it in 1 week and you'll get a little bit more. And it's crazy because I was just not even thinking of it. I'm just like, bro, give me my money today, you know? And I was about to click today until I realized, like, oh, snap. The same exact thing happened in the book Willpower that I just read. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not necessarily like strapped for cash, dying out here. Let me just wait. And I literally waited, and in a week's time, I got much more money. And it really is important. Like, that's such a simple principle, but it's so deep and powerful for us to understand. If you can delay, you know, if you can withstand There's so much more blessings at your disposal if you could just wait, you know. Yeah, these are my little lessons, I guess. Thank you for everyone that wished me a happy birthday. Thank you for those that will wish me a happy birthday after watching this. I pray this video was a blessing to you. Once again, check out that IG page, Everything Drew. I have a little blog as well, everything-drew.com, www.everything-drew.com. And of course, this is a YouTube channel. Yeah, if you want Bible studies, we have a Bible study that we do every Friday. We have praise meetings that we do every Wednesday. We have prayer stuff that we're working on. Yeah, if you want to get connected, shoot me an email, shoot me a comment, whatever. Do all that fancy stuff that YouTubers say, like this video, subscribe if you want to do this, share this video, that sort of a thing. It really just helps get the word out. God bless you, and yeah, thanks.